Hi. Are we all awake? I got 30 minutes and I think 82 slides or something, so you have to keep in mind that it will be fast. We have, of course, always some gifts for you. Do you know the Club Mate? Yeah? Who doesn't know Club Mate? Ooh, everybody. Well, if you don't know it, it's like French cheese through an ashtray, but you love it and it keeps your mind clear. So please try to get it. If I cough, I'm sorry, I fly a lot, and when you're in an airplane and you have a cold, you keep the cold, so excuse me for that. Who am I? Short introduction. Edwin, pretty old for a hacker, they say. Pressed a lot of buttons when I was a kid. Did some stuff that might not be allowed today, but no rules in the past, so we're still happy in here. And as said, I would like to have all those brilliant hackers I know in one room and drive in a washing machine, drive in a website, drive in a car, you will get it back broken. And that's what I hope we can fix with Zerocopter. In my spare time, I'm a member of the Guild of the Grumpy Old Hackers. In Dutch, it's het genootschap van de gekke oude hackers. That's something nicer. We try to help young kids who go the wrong way to go the right way again. So if they find something and they shout about it, we say, you can also report it and we will help you, etc. And I'm a member of the cavalry, and I'm not sure if Joshua is in yet, but in the afternoon there will be an awesome presentation from the cavalry, and with the cavalry we try to help medical device companies, automotive companies, etc. to be a little more secure. So I will not talk about it today, but in the afternoon there will be an awesome presentation for that. Sometimes as a hacker you get weird emails, like this one, from Ene Klaas Dijkhoff. I had no clue. I was at a conference and I said, I don't want to go. And the company said, yeah, you have to go. And something really, really awful happened. I still have nightmares. I had to wear a suit. Awful. By the way, the lady in the middle, Mary Mo, Google her, she hacks her own pacemaker. It's really awesome and really scary as well. Also part of the cavalry. Let's see. Let's work. We're here for work, of course. Public-private partnerships. PPS, PP3, all different names. And we all talk about this for years now, right? Last year, or this year basically, from the 1st of January until now, we got 28 invitations to come to a gathering to talk about public-private partnerships. 28. That's a lot. And we try to go to most of them. And does anybody know, for a bottle of Club Mate, what the similarities between all those meetings are? Just raise your hand if you think you know. Suits, yeah, mostly suits, correct, but
nothing happened.
Nothing happened, that's good. But one more. Take an inventory, yeah, also. But basically, well, I think the suits is the nicest one. Give it to the suits. You won the first one. This is what they all are in common. What kind of data do you have? Can we have it? And then I ask, yeah, maybe, but it's a private partnership, so what data can we have back? And then that's nothing. So basically, all of these guys want to talk about public-private partnerships, want to work with us, but sharing is impossible. And that makes it quite difficult. And for instance, this one. Police looking for volunteers to help fight cybercrime. And we as the hacker community were seeing this message and we went like this. You know, how are you going to do this? How does this work? I mean, we can't even help. How are volunteers going to help? And police still sees us as enemies, right? We're the enemy. Hackers are evil and hackers are the enemy. And you cannot work with enemies. Police sees us like this. Wearing ski masks all the time behind our laptop. Well, I'm sure there's some hackers in the room. Who of you wears a ski mask behind their laptop? We try to do pizza eating contests sometimes, wearing ski mask. It's messy. You should try it. It's really messy. And of course, yeah, we wear hoodies, but mostly because it allows us to work longer. Yes, that's the only reason we wear hoodies. This is the way to do it. But then I thought, well, on the other side, everybody needs enemies, because if you don't have enemies, it's also not fun, right? So you need a bit of enemies, and maybe you can work with enemies. And we did it one time. Anybody know Operation Cyberpaint Black Hat Down? 1, 2, 3, cool. Anybody know which year? For a bottle. Come on. 15? No. No. Do one down and you get a bottle. Right, you get a bottle. Awesome. And what this was is there was a heated discussion between hackers, between Anonymous, between police and military on Twitter. And everybody's like, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody said, why don't we take this to the real world? And why don't we go to a paintball arcade and shoot at each other? So we have teams of hackers, teams of police, teams of military, teams of intelligence shooting at each other with paintball guns. And it worked. It was fun. We had police like this one there shooting us, really awesome. And we had, well, people like these shooting at each other. It was really cool. And even Breno was there, and he got a headshot. And still nobody knows who did it, right? I think somebody at the front row does, but we won't talk about this. But it worked. It was fun. We were working together, and we had fun. And in 2013 also, we wanted to come to this conference because we had a lot of speakers here that were friends of us for different countries. And then we tried to get in and we couldn't. So we organized our own conference on the same day as this one, somewhere in The Hague. And we had a van picking up the speakers when they were done here and moved to our location and speak there. It was really cool. They didn't like it as much here, but 2 years later, I was on stage. And for us, this helped. So the NCSC and the hacker community are doing it right. But how? How can this be done? Well, basically, and I'm sorry, Jeroen, like this. The NCSC sends people with same thought process, same interest to hacker conventions. And they meet up with hackers. And they have the same interests. And they drink beer. And they become friends. And what you get then is this. Not friends, not enemies, but we have the same interests. And that brings us together. And that works. And it creates a lot of trust. And I think the most important thing to do if you want to have a good relationship in public-private partnership or whatever is first create the trust. That works. And I'm from Holland, so I always start my slide like this when I'm somewhere abroad. And I was abroad last week again and the week before, and then I talk to the people there and I say, how do you see our country? How do you see the Netherlands? Because I always think, this is us, right? We're very good at water management. We're a great country. We do all the good stuff. But then you talk to the people abroad and they see us like this. So there's something wrong there, right? We, the Netherlands, are a gedoogland. And it's difficult to explain in English, but basically it means you're not allowed to do that, but well, we look this way, so you can do it, right? You can do this in the Netherlands. Awesome. I did this one in France a year ago. It was in a movie theater, and I was done, and some people came to me and they said, can you put this slide back up? And I was like, okay, and there were 4 French guys looking at the screen like, really cool. But this is allowed. Weed in the Netherlands, allowed but not allowed. Hookers, allowed but not allowed. Same with hackers. Allowed, but maybe not allowed, sometimes allowed. We allow it a bit. Responsible disclosure. How many of you know it now? Come on, we've been doing this for 4 years. Cool. How many use it? Less. Okay, for the people who still don't use it, responsible disclosure, we started in 2013, correlating with the hacker community and CSC government to deliver a guideline which protects hackers in the Netherlands if they report something the right way. And in 2018, we gave it a different name, Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure. Why? Because responsible, all the pressure was on the hackers. We should be responsible in reporting. Company doesn't have to do anything. Now it's coordinated, so we hope that companies are also forced a bit to work with us when we report something. And even in the official documents, picture of me. Really cool. Official government documents, hackers in there. That means that we can work together on this stuff. And for the people who don't use responsible disclosure at the moment, it's so easy, people. Please do it. Just put on your website whatever product I have. If you find a vulnerability, please report it. If you can download my client database, please don't. Just access 2 records to show that you can and give us all the information. Don't share it with everybody. Don't do anything weird. And we promise that we won't prosecute you. Basically, that's it. Work with the hacker community. They will help you. And we did Hack the Hague a couple of days ago, according to this principle, worked out great. You know, hackers are willing to help. Please use us for that as well. And of course, we like gifts. So we get t-shirts like this. I hacked the Dutch government. All I got was this lousy t-shirt. We got a lot of those. So you need some other stuff to do. Dutch Federal Bank, so the National Bank of the Netherlands, do you know what they give if you do a good responsible disclosure? A gold bar, yeah, you get a bottle. Woo! You get gold. Awesome. The day this hit the internet, the next day they got 1,000 responsible disclosure reports, right? We get gold, awesome. And they did it really cool because it was actually a USB key. So props to them, we love them. Do you also know what the Dutch road administration gives? Look, that's cool. I hacked the Dutch National, the RDW, and all I got was a lousy license plate. We love that, so we called them up. Can I put it on my card? No. Too bad. But still, some organizations don't understand the concept of working with us. We are a bit weird. And then I get an email like this. Conversations are always non-binding and in the first instance mainly for introduction orientation. As an intelligence service, we prefer to meet in a neutral public place such as a restaurant. If I get an email like this, how do you think I react? This? I'm like, scary. But then again, I said, well, let's try. So I went there and I thought of myself, it's probably a restaurant in Shady, and it was worse than that. That's scary, really scary. And this was the outcome, right? Can I ask data? Yeah, can you give something back? No, okay. Okay, good. But we had a good talk, we had a good conversation. And one of the things we talked about was using databases, for instance. And everybody knows LinkedIn database breached in 2013, all those passwords are out there, people still using old passwords, blah, blah, blah. So I said, you use those databases, right? And they said, no. I said, why not? You can download them. Everybody has them, you just click download and you got them. And they said, no, we can't do that because of chain of confidence, whatever. We can't use that. We have to either get the database when we raid somebody's house and find it there, or an informant has to give us the database. And I'm like, that's stupid, because you can download. But I did a talk once for police, and I'm seeing somebody sitting here. And I said, you know what? I have a gift from the hacker community. I've got a USB disk with the LinkedIn database. So now you have it. I'm officially informant. And I was a bit scared, of course, but they were more scared because they thought I was giving them this. You know what this is? USB killer, yeah. This is not a normal USB stick. You put it in your computer, it loads power, and when it's full, it just blows back in the motherboard and your computer is gone. It's fun. And you think, why should you do it? Well, if you put it on your parking lot near your competitors, you just watch those blinky lights go boom in the office. It's fun. But I didn't do it. Police looked at it, and in the end, I got a hug. It's really cool. I love this. I really love this. Thank you for that. And I tried to get to his gun, but I couldn't. And I talked with them about kids. You know, there's so much kids there. And they are looking on the internet, they're learning about hacking, and then they find a database, and in the database there's credit card records. And they're like 14, 15, 16, sitting in their attics doing this, and then they know they cannot use those credit cards, because if they use them, they get arrested. But they have found something awesome. So what do? They talk about it with their friends. They say, oh, I got a database with credit cards. And then it goes around, and then someday a criminal hears it and goes to them and said, you got a database with credit cards? They say, yeah. I will give you 2,000, 3,000 euros for it. And they're like, whoa. I cannot use it anyway, so let's do it. And they give the database to the criminals, not knowing that criminals will be back a week later and saying, I need another one. And they said, but I don't have another one, this was a lucky shot. Well, if you don't give us another one, we will harm your family. And then they are slowly sucked in those stuff. We need to help those kids get out of there. And we need to do stuff about it. And what we also did as a hacking community, together with the prosecutor's office and the police, is this, hack right. It's like HALT, so people get arrested but are basically too young to go to jail, but we want to warn them. So with hack right, if somebody commits a criminal offense like hacking, but it's their first offense, they are below 18, ship them to us. We at Zerocopter or whatever hacking company will help them. We will train them. We will guide them into being ethical. We will show them that if you do responsible disclosure of bug bounties, you can earn money by doing the right thing. That's what HackRight is about. And that's how we save a bit of the lives of those kids. And then they said, yeah, but if you have some information, why don't you call us? Why don't you call the military or the police or whatever and give us the information? I said, well, it's about trust. I'm willing to call the police, but I want to speak to one person. And what happens if I call police or whatever now? This. I go from island to island, and they say, well, that's not for us, go to the next guy, and I go there, and they say, well, we don't know, go to the next guy, and there's no trust left. We need to have trusted connections if we want to report something. And it isn't there yet, so we have to work on stuff like that. And then they say, yeah, but if you find something, who do you call? And I said, well, I call my friends. That's the one thing. And for instance, if I want to report something like criminal or to the police or whatever, I just call this guy. Do you know who he is? Yeah, what's his function? Yes, you get a bottle. He's the head of the prosecutor's cybercrime in the Netherlands. And then they were, how do you call him? Do you have his number? I said, yes, I have his mobile. And they were like, how? How is it possible that you have his mobile number? Well, we were in a magazine together. And you know what we did after the interview? We drank beer. Yeah, and if you drink beer, you get trust. And we're now friends. That's how it works. That's how you need to do stuff like this. And then some people still say, yeah, but hackers are scary. Why should we work with hackers anyway? Well, for instance, this one. Everybody needs experts, right? Experts are pretty important. But if you select wrong expert, and I know some of you are seeing where this is going, you get a little bit of a problem. 2 years ago, Dutch banks were targeted by DDoS attacks. And the media was speculating a lot about it was Russia, it was Korea, it was blah, blah, blah. It turned out, I think, to be a kid somewhere who bought stressors and just DDoSed everything. But we needed experts to go on the news to tell about it. I was one of them. I was invited at RTL Late Nights together with Inge Philips from Deloitte. They have free beer, by the way, so if you get asked, just go, free beers. And while we were sitting there, our phones kept buzzing. And why? Because at the same time, there was also an expert on a different channel telling a story. She's called Rianne from Rijboek. And she was telling a story about DDoSing and what happens, etc., etc. But most of the people who called us said that it wasn't completely correct, what she was telling. So we looked into her, and she was world's best hacker for 30 years. And that's cool, but a bit weird that nobody knows her. Nobody in the entire community had ever heard of this lady. She's written a book as well. Nobody knew about this. She was, for instance, talking about this. You need to separate your networks by airbags. I think she meant air-gapped, but that's slightly difficult to explain, I guess. So she was talking about airbag networks. She was talking about that all hackers had apps on their mobile phone and they could walk to an ATM, push a button, and the ATM would spill money. I think we still use a drill for that first, and then some USB, and then we could do it, but not just with an app. So she was telling all kinds of weird stories. Luckily, she had a solution for all our problems. Raise your hand if you know what the solution is. Over there, first one. Yes, the smart blockchain. Has anybody seen the smart blockchain by now? No, sorry, we didn't either. So for that, you need some experts to help you. So if you select it wrong, you need hackers. And this reminded me of Guy Goma. Do you know Guy Goma? Please look this up. It's so much fun. Guy Goma was going to the BBC to get hired, a job interview as a cleaner. And he was sitting in the waiting room, and somebody ran in and said, "Is Guy here?" And Guy said, "Yes, I'm here." So he was escorted to stage, British television, BBC One, and interviewed about Apple security for 15 minutes. It's really awesome. He's like, "Yes, you can download everything, every time." Really, really cool. Look this up, you will have fun. And we think differently. Come on, who of you have a Tesla? Oh, who of you want a Tesla? Look under your seat. You never know. We are giving one away. It could be your seat. Tesla has auto driving capabilities, right? But you have to touch the steering wheel every 2 minutes. Well, you don't have to if you put an orange in between. So this is fixed now, by the way. So what you now have to do is get a bottle on a rope and hang it on your steering wheel so it dangles a bit. And you can go from here to wherever you want, sleeping. Really, really awesome. It works. Oh yeah, by the way, what's this? It's a trap. This, people, is a trap for a self-driving car. It's 7 kilos of salt. A car can get in because of the cut lines. It cannot get out. You have to push your car out of here yourself. And you're all laughing now, but if your kids see it and they got charcoal, then it will be fun in the next couple of years. This. We don't make holes. We just find holes which are there, and we try to tell you about it. If you can take that away from this, I would be really grateful. This is so important for us. For instance, what's this? A practice lock. This is a practice. When we don't have access to our laptops, we want to do lock picking, so we have lock picks, and we try to open locks without the key. It's fun, it's a sport, it's a hobby, etc. But it's difficult to learn, so for practice you have locks like this, where you can see how the springs are, etc., and you can open this stuff. Where shouldn't you put locks like this? For instance, on an RAF military base. What do we do? Why? Why do we do stuff like this? Oh yeah, this is also fun, I have to tell this. A friend of mine was at a wedding and said, well, if I can go open a bank at night, with whiskey, I get free drinks. And we were on a wedding, so we said, yeah, sure, you get free drinks. So we filmed this.
So we're locked, but there was a rec sensor up there.
Free drinks. It's that easy. We should fix stuff like this. And also this one. I always say if you're in cybersecurity, people, don't focus. And that's weird because everybody says you have to focus. No, you shouldn't. If you're in cybersecurity, please do not focus. I was invited by a hotel chain once and they invited media, press, hackers, because they had a new app. They had, if you checked in, you got an email, and on the email you had a key, and you could walk to the door and you could open your door. And they said, it's so secure, we invite hackers, press, and they can hack it. And they invited me as well, and I came there and I said, what's the challenge? What's the meaning? I said, well, we have an app and we think it's secure and you can blah, 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 you can walk in. I said, yeah, but what's the ultimate goal of this test? And it was quiet, and they said, well, we have an app, and blah, blah, blah. I said, yes, I get it. But for me, the ultimate goal is to get in the room, right? Yes, yes, that's the goal. I said, cool, thought of that, brought a 75-kilo fishing magnet, put it on the lock, turned it, I was in. And they were like, that's not what we meant. And I said, no, that's because you're not thinking. We are not going to reverse engineer an app for 3 weeks when we can walk in with a magnet. We're way too lazy for that. So don't focus if you do stuff like this. And don't be stupid. Don't build stupid things. What's this? Alexa, are you using it? No. Alexa, how's the weather? And then instead of she saying, look outside, moron, she said, no, it's blah, blah, blah in Fahrenheit. We don't have anything about it. In the US, they use it, ordering groceries, right? So you can say, Alexa, I'm out of milk, Prime brings milk. We are forgetting that we have, for instance, animals. This parrot ordered 20,000 rolls of toilet paper for Alexa. Alexa, I'm out of toilet paper. New toilet paper. Who of you, wants a LinkedIn connection with your toothbrush? We are building stupid stuff. We should stop this, all of us. And the older we get, people, and we don't get all this stuff. I mean, all those IoT things are fine, are helping us, but are they really necessary? And if you look at generations behind us, the really old generation, they have no clue what we're doing, and they don't need it. And to illustrate this, I have the most sad picture I could find, and I will share it with you today. So sad. Every day she tries to feed the drones. Every day. And I talked to this lady, and she knows that if there's a USB key on the street, she shouldn't pick it up and put it in her computer. She knows that. But she doesn't know that she cannot borrow the cable of her daughter to put in, because there's hacking stuff inside cable these days. And now everybody said, yeah, but I lent my coworkers cables. And I said, yeah, I know, but you should be careful. And they said, no, it's hacker stuff. And then I said, no, you can buy it on Wish, just with a SIM card in it, so you can watch remotely what somebody is doing on the computer. It's that advanced. We should worry about stuff like this. So, how are we going to do it? How are we going to make sure that we can work together, that you can work with the hacker community, that there can be good public and private partnerships? How are we going to do it? Well, first, this one. Create trust. If you are somebody and you want to work, send your people to hacking conferences. Look in your organization. Put a bottle of Club Mate on your desk, and if somebody walks by and says, hey, I know this, then you know that's the one to send. You know, it's that easy. Try to get people interested in hacking, do cool stuff, and get them working with hackers. Because if you are at a conference and you're drinking beer with hackers and you're having fun, there's a trust relation, and people can become friends. And then try to work together with them. Let them do stuff. I mean, we are trying to working with a lot of organizations in the Netherlands, also justice, also tax administration, etc. And it needs trust, and we are still growing in there, but slowly you see that they are trying to get there. So try to work together. Do simple side projects just to test if it will work out. And if you do that, then you know you can go on. If it fails, you have to look at the other way. In the end, we should do this. Become Frolics. I have no clue where I found this word, but I love it. Frolics. When colleagues become friends, that's the ultimate goal, to get a good relationship in place. Well, we funded Zerocopter for this. What we wanted to do is get all those hacking communities and the companies together. We are building bridges for that. We are handling responsible disclosure. We are doing bug bounties because we think that hackers will make money and can make money if they get paid for the good things. That's why we built this company. That's why we did it. And it's also my dream. If you look at the hacking community now, about 10% of all the hackers I know are willing to help. They don't want anything in return. Victor here is a great example of that. He just, for 18 years, is reporting vulnerabilities, doesn't want anything in return. He just wants the internet to be a safer place. That's what we want. About 10% is like that. Great. 30% still espionage. So maybe China breaking in, maybe Russia, whatever. People breaking into each other's factories to steal ideas. I think we will always have that. Well, then we need the 10% activism, of course, because, yeah, you need to stir shit up sometime. And then we have 15% of kids who are wanting to become hackers. We call them script kiddies because they download a lot of stuff, just press enter and pwn the shit out of everything. But we should train those guys. They want to learn how to hack, come to us. We will help you. We will make sure that you know what the ethical ways of hacking are so you can use your knowledge to help the world get better. And then we still have 35% criminals. But as I mentioned before, a lot of those criminals aren't criminals by nature. They are kids lured into this via money or via whatever incentive they have at the moment. If we can save them by, for instance, saying, okay, instead of downloading the database and selling it, you could also give it back to the company, don't talk about it. Maybe at the end when all is fixed you can write a report and get internet fame, and you also get money for reporting it. That means they can stay safe and help the world. In my ideal world, in my ideal dream, If we get those 35% away, if we train those 15%, you would have 60% of all the hackers on the internet on the good side. And then I think a lot of all our issues will be fixed. I'm going to my last slide. Please remember, most important thing, we are not so scary as you think. We want to work, and we know we can work with you, so please try it. Thank you very much.